Solo Leveling has some of the most gruesome deaths in all of anime. Working backwards, let's get straight into this list where we cover the top 9 deaths in the entire season. Starting with number 9, although this death was the least brutal, it was arguably one of the most impressionable. That death being the death of Kang. This scene was not only beautiful in its artistic style, but left a lasting impression on fans. The knife in his chest and the pool of blood beneath him made the dialogue that much more peak. Speaking of Kang though, we have to talk about the death of one particular prisoner. I'm talking about this prisoner here. In the anime, we finished the arc off with Jinwoo clearing the dungeon, but in the manhwa, it's a little bit different and a whole lot darker. Jinwoo recognizes that this character is pretending to be dead. He then brings him into the boss's chamber, where he then allows him to be torn into pieces. We don't see too much of the gore here, but it easily deserves a number 8 spot. Sticking with this arc, we actually find our number 7 death, and we're talking about Mr. Kim. Although his death was similar in nature to Kang's, it was actually much more brutal. I know, let me explain. You see, it's heavily implied that Kang intentionally left Mr. Kim alive in order to ambush Jinwoo and his group. He brought him just close enough to death though, that no amount of healing could save him. This was done with a grotesque level of precision and experience. It's a lot darker when you think about it. Now, when it comes to the number 5 and 6 slot, it was by far the most difficult for me to choose. For the purpose of this list, we have to put up a rule. I'm not going to include all of the decapitations in the season. And if I had to choose the most brutal of all the decapitations, I would probably go with Dong-suk's death. Not only was it clean, but it was pretty gory. Now with that to the side, I had to choose between Dong-suk's death and the 2 men in his party that bled out through their mouths and noses. For the swiftness of his death though, I had to put Dong-suk in number 6 and his party members in number 5. I mean, come on guys, they had a slow, painful death with blood coming out from their nose and mouth. Like, they're basically drowning. But you know what's worse than drowning? Having your entire body turn into dust. Wait, no, that's not right. What's actually worse than that would be to hype yourself up as the fastest person in the party, only to have yourself completely deleted within the matter of 1 second. Not only is it incredibly brutal, but it was actually kind of embarrassing. Now, some of you might say that the decapitation was more brutal, but I mean, look at the effect that that laser beam had on his party. All of their hope was stripped away in a single moment. And now we get to our top 3 deaths. But before we do that, let's play a game. This is my Nen Beast, King Weeb. King Weeb hates one of these 3 characters and wishes for him or her to suffer the most brutal of deaths. Should you select the right character, King Weeb will grant you extra good luck for the rest of your day. Should you choose wrong though, you'll be forced to feed King Weeb with your subscription to the channel. So lock in your answer and the character will be revealed in 3, 2, 1. The answer is Dong-suk. If you got it right, congratulations. Enjoy your enhanced luck for the remainder of the day. But if you got it wrong though, you know what to do. Now, as for number 3 on this list, some of you might not agree with this. It's sadly one of the most forgotten deaths in the entire series. The death of Little Red Riding Hood. She wasn't just crushed by a giant foot, but we got to see her entire body flattened frame by frame. The sound alone puts us in a top tier spot. Another death that shouldn't be forgotten though is Tracksuit Guy. This is one of the first deaths and it set the tone for the entire series. A chunk of his body was cleaved off and blood sprayed everywhere across the exit. This established to the audience that this world is a world of no easy way outs. And when it comes to this death, there's only one other death in the entire series that can even compare to it. And this brings us to the number 1 spot. The death of Lamb Chops. While everyone was running from the statue, our man here was cleaved completely in half. We watch as the cut slowly appears and his body begins to fail. Then we see everything fall apart in the reflection of his own blood. These are the most brutal deaths of Solo Leveling thus far. If you have your own list, let me know down below. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.